Lauren, how are you?
I am fantastic. Hey, Bradley, how are you?
Doing fine. Thanks for being part of Digital Book World with us.
Yeah, thank
Um,
you. Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. I'm glad I was able to sneak in here.
yeah, absolutely. And it's cool to see what y'all are doing. I'll let everybody discover that on their own in just a moment. I'm making you host,
Awesome.
and so you can share your screen.
Sure thing. I'll do that in just a moment.
Okay. So
Perfect.
yeah, thanks for being part of DBW Global with us.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. So everyone, I'm Lauren Turow. I'm the head of growth at Lately. And just a little background before I do jump in and share my screen and get started. So Lately is an AI powered content curation platform. So we use AI to automatically start learning what people are trying to say on social media. So we help you stop guessing by building a writing model and helping you to create social posts out of your long form content. And so this can be done from any type of long form content. So it can be like a blog or a newsletter or a press release, or it can be chapters and paragraphs from books, pretty much any type of content, including audio and video content. And I don't know if you guys know, but it actually takes on average about 12 minutes to write a single organic social post. And then, usually people will spend a lot of time on their content. And if they're spending all this time writing one or two social posts, all that other time is getting spent, all that time that they're spending is really getting wasted. So we're going to give you that opportunity to create a whole bunch of different social posts to then promote that content that you've already spent so much time working on. So now I will just go ahead and I'll share my screen. There we go. Perfect. So as I said, we are powered by AI, and we really help to make social media effortless and way more effective. And again, that can be with any of that different type of content. So we help you to create these messages that people really want to read. So we're using that AI to look at your previous social content and figure out what your audience is going to engage with, what they want to see, what they want to read on your pages. And so we're going to take that long form content and use AI to then create that short form content at scale. So if you guys don't mind, I'll just jump in and give you a little bit of a demo, because that's that's really how we shine. So Bradley, I actually have one of your articles here. So I'm going to
I'm
grab the
sorry.
URL and I'm going to copy that. I'm going to pop back into Lately, and I can paste that URL right in here. Or just so you guys know, if it was a chapter of a book or a couple of paragraphs, you can just uncheck this box here and paste that content in. And actually, just a little side note to this, we have an author that we work with named David Allison. He is doing a lot of work with eliminating demographics and demographic stereotypes. And he actually released a book last October, and he used Lately to promote his book. And by 12 p.m. Eastern on the Monday he released his book, he was actually #1 on the Amazon bestseller list. So pretty amazing. And so that's how he was doing it. He was just putting his content, pieces of his book into here and getting all of these different incredible ways to post about his book and promote that book. So just to back up again, I'm going to paste in that article right in here, and I can add in some hashtags. So, oh, and I can never type and talk. Oh, and I didn't spell TECH. Yeah, it's fine. It's close enough, right? And then I'm just going to hit auto generate. So again, what this is doing, when you connect your social accounts, we actually import the last 12 months of your social posts. And when we do that, we are going to start to analyze all of your top performing posts and the top performing keywords within them. So we're looking at what you've done previously, and that's how we're building that writing model. We're going to put together all these different pieces to then go through and pull out the most compelling quotes from the content you're feeding in. So whether it is from a blog or your newsletter or your chapters of your books, we are going to go through and we're going to find the best bits and pieces from that to then create these social posts. And I will show you guys in just a moment how that AI works, but just to show you here, we just got 33 temporary drafts or 33 possible ways that we can now post about this on social media. So imagine if you're feeding in chapter 1 to chapter 15 of your book and you're getting on average 30 to 50 social posts per chapter, you are getting so many of these different ways that people can get to your content. So maybe they don't really, maybe the first post that they see doesn't really resonate with them, but then maybe the fourth one or the seventh one does. You're able to then sprinkle these out over time. So that way you have lots and lots of content going out really consistently, really, really easily. And so with this, we do always recommend that you review all this content. We don't want the robots to take over the world, right? We're not there yet. So we're going to start, Lately's going to start you at third base, and it's going to be that human's job to get that home run. So you can pop in and make any edits to these and give it the right context, the right personalization, just that human touch in here. So everything is exactly the way that you want it to be. Also for social, you can add additional images, you can edit your link preview on LinkedIn, links you own on Facebook, lots of different options for all of that. From there, you just go ahead, you hit save, your changes are reflected, and then you're able to schedule and publish this to all of your different platforms. We connect to Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn personal pages, and company pages. So if you want to promote that on LinkedIn, you can absolutely do that. Also Instagram and YouTube. So you're able to put this content across all of your platforms to really get the absolute most out of it. And again, because we have so many of these different posts, we're able to not only sprinkle them out across time, but we can really be strategic with where this content is going. So maybe on Twitter, we want to put 20 of these, and on LinkedIn, we want to put 5 or 10. You're able to, again, just be very strategic with all of this content and where all this content is going. And I don't know if I mentioned it, but we are able to schedule and publish to all of those platforms. So this is how this works with written content. We can also do this with audio and video content. So like this fantastic conference that you guys are having right now, if you want to use this to promote next year's conference, you can also do that. So you can take all of your favorite bits and pieces, you can upload them here into Lately, and we're going to transcribe those for you. So once it's transcribed, you can then go through and actually generate from transcript. So that takes that full transcription that you can edit, you can then use to make a blog or anything else, any other type of written content, write an article, and it's going to pop that all here into Lately's auto generator. From there, you're able to add in hashtags. You can add a link if maybe you want to link to the sign up page or the replay of last year's conference, anything like that. And then you can attach video clips. And once you hit that auto generate content button, it's going to do that same kind of process as it does with the written content. But in addition, it actually clips up that audio or video content. So in this example, we have 22 drafts. We have 22 little tiny mini movie trailers that we can now use to promote this. And so maybe this is the conference or a keynote or an excerpt from an audiobook. You have all of these different opportunities to now use this for your social content and be able to really promote this pretty much everywhere. Awesome. You guys are great listeners. Now, just the last thing I'd like to show you guys is a little bit of behind the scenes on how that AI is going to work. So, oh, that's our calendar, but I'm going to pop into the Omni Analytics here. And so if I scroll down on the page, you can see that we start to develop these word clouds. So when Lately is importing your content, we're pulling in that last 12 months of posts, we're going to start to build out these word clouds for you. And this is telling you some of your top performing keywords in all of your top posts. So this is how you can start to really train the AI to start focusing on specific words or phrases in any of your content. So the AI is going to learn on its own, but in addition, as I said, you are able to train it in one direction or the other. So if I hover over any of these words, like the word human, at Lately, we are really big on that human to human aspect rather than like B2B or B2C. And so we have a lot of content that includes the word human. And in this example, it's showing us that we have over 9,000 impressions in just one post. So from there, we can add that to our keywords, and that's telling the AI that this is a word we want to emphasize more, something we want to focus on more in our content. Or on the other end of that, we can add to noise words, and that's going to do the opposite. It's going to start to de-emphasize that word and really try to not include it in our content. So we're able to use this to start to feed that AI brain. And with these keywords, you can also use these to look at before you're writing a blog or a piece of content. You can see what your audience cares about, because this is how it's going to learn that. This is how it's learning what your audience wants to see. So you're able to really create that content that's going to get a lot more engagement than it otherwise would. Awesome. And so we do that for just those top posts, for all your posts, hashtags, people you've mentioned, lots and lots of different areas in here. And so that is my nice little overview of, of what we can do. If anyone is interested in learning more, you can visit us at lately.ai, or you can always feel free to reach out to me. My email address is Lauren, Lauren, at lately.ai. We are more than happy to help, and we love publishers and everything book related. So any questions you guys have, send them our way.
Oh, we got questions.
Fantastic.
Yeah, no, this is great. So yeah, if you don't mind, yeah, unshare that. And no, great job. And thanks for being part of this with us. So, you know, when I was seeing the demo of this the other day, the thought crossed my mind, and I don't remember if it was said or if it wasn't, but do you have an idea of how much time? So I've been in this role. I've done this for all sorts of different things where, you know, I'm slicing up content, either something I've written or something someone else has written, and creating social posts from that, and plotting out a calendar and things like that. Do you have a sense of how much time is saved per social post that Lately generates for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And great question. So it takes on average 12 minutes to write a single organic social post. And Lately gets you 20, 40, 60 social posts in about 2 seconds. So that is pretty significant. Our customers are finding on average, they save around 8 hours a week in their content creation, scheduling, and publishing. So it is quite a lot, and especially in terms of like money saved. If you just put that into a formula, you're saving hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars each month.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about that. Another question for you is, and these are all just things that I've been thinking about since seeing what y'all are doing.
Yeah.
You know, taking Twitter, it seems like if you post a tweet that the algorithms sort of shift over time. And right now it seems like that tweet, as opposed to, you know, I think or metrics maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years ago might have been a tweet's got a 7 to 10 minute shelf life. It was something like that, a real short shelf life, and whoever sees it then sees it, otherwise it's gone. Now it seems like with the way it sort of recycles things back up to the top, that tweets have more of like a 24-hour shelf life, where somebody might see something for accounts you normally look at that might be within that window. What are the challenges in what you're doing with Lately, working around these behemoths and understanding their algorithms?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, you know, I agree with you about the shelf life of a tweet. Even if you are posting, and even with the algorithms, a tweet's only going to be alive for maybe 10, 15 minutes. And if somebody doesn't see it when it goes by in the feed, they're not going to see it again. With the algorithms, that does change a bit, but that's where Lately really helps, because you now have all of these different ways to post about your content. You're not just posting once and hoping that the algorithm is performing in your favor that day. You now have all of these different ways to post about that content. And actually, we had one of our founders actually said this really well the other day, in terms of customers and things like that on social media. If you're creating a piece of content and you're posting about it now, maybe your number one customer or your number one person isn't going to see it, but 6 months from now, they come on, and if they see a post that was from Lately about that blog from 6 months ago, that's how they're going to find you. And that's how you're really going to get that ideal customer really looking at you and understanding what you guys do. So even though the algorithms sometimes can be a little weird, a little bit wonky, because you have lately to come up with all of these different ways to promote your content, you are likely going to get the right eyes on that content at the right time. And as Chris is just saying in the chat, you're able to really unlock that content, unlock and repurpose.
So y'all have done some work with Gary Vaynerchuk. Talk about that a minute, because he, he's king of social, and out of all people, to need something like this, other than just large companies publishing a lot of content. Gary's a pretty good use case. What have you share with us some of the success you've seen working with him?
Yeah, awesome. And actually, I'll just share my screen again really quick.
Okay.
And so right now, guys, I'm just sharing the Garyvee TV Twitter account. So this is one of Gary's newer Twitter accounts. And this is actually 100% powered by Lately and Lately's AI. So they have, so Team Garyvee has created this account and fed in all of Gary's content into Lately. So as you know, he is that content master, right? He has keynotes, he has interviews, speeches, blogs, content up the wazoo, right? So they're feeding it in, and that gave the AI so much to learn from. And so by doing that and feeding it through the AI and creating all this content, they are able to use this Twitter account as a farm in a sense. So they post on this Twitter account and they find the top performing posts for this account, and they take that content and push it to his other accounts. And by doing that, they're actually finding a 12,000% increase in engagement, because this content, the AI powered content, knows what his audience wants to see and wants to engage with. And I said 12,000. That wasn't, that was that's the real number.
That's a large number.
That's a big number, yeah. And just, just a little background, like Gary has really promoted the pillar model for content. So you take your piece of content and you create a lot of little pieces of social content to then push it out. And that's really essentially what Lately is doing. You have this opportunity to be creating these little bite-sized snippets of content to really lead people and hook them and get them in to then go to all of your other larger pieces of content.
It's interesting. Let's shift gears and talk about the pricing model of it.
Sure.
So share with us some about that, for smaller companies, larger companies, how does that work?
Yeah, great question. So our pricing model is really based on a sliding scale, and it's really individualized based on each customer. So it is a little hard for me to give like a general pricing number without being able to talk to someone. But it is done really by license. So it's a single user and typically up to 5 connected social accounts. And that pricing usually starts around $350 a month. However, that being said, we are often flexible and we want to make it work for most people. So if this is something that you guys are interested in, like I said, please reach out. You can either go to our website and contact us, or you can contact me directly at lauren@lately.ai.
So with that, so you're looking at more, small to medium-sized businesses, and things like that, obviously, with that pricing model, all the way up to larger publishers.
Right. Yes, exactly. And especially with larger publishers, we do have a few other options in there that allow them to create content and send it out to any individuals and all sorts of things. And so if this is, like I said, something that anyone would like a deeper dive in or a more personalized look at, we'd be more than happy to do that.
No, that's good. And, I guess I'll close with just asking you something I was thinking about as well. We had a conversation earlier in the digital book world, DBW Global program, about books written by AI, and had a conversation about do people want that? Will people read that? What is that going to mean when we start to have that? Because my feeling's like that's pretty close. You could debate that, but at some point we'll be there. But the thought crosses my mind that with something like what you're doing with Lately, what your model is, take human created content, ingest it, AI takes you the rest of the way. But it's interesting to think about if the human's never part of any of that. If an AI writes an article, maybe that process starts a little bit earlier in the value chain, where the AI takes some sort of data from you, assembles some context, and then writes the article, and then publishes it, in this schedule that your software creates. What do you think about that? And then anything else that's on the short-term roadmap, share that with us too.
Yeah, wow, that is a really interesting thing that I hadn't really considered before. I don't know what that's going to look like when AI is writing books and then in turn able to write the social content based on that. I do know that some things on our roadmap that we have in some super secret beta at this time, we do have some ability for the AI to actually create social content in a specific tone of voice. So it's going to be able to actually create content from nothing. So we are really excited about that. But we really are big proponents of the human there. And as Kate's saying in the chat, the human alone is good. AI alone is good. But it's really that combination of the two. That's where the magic really happens. That's that 1 + 1 = 3 equation. That's how you're really going to get the good stuff.
Lauren, we appreciate you taking the time and being part of DBW Global with us. I'm intrigued with what you put together. I'm excited about it. Just seeing it, it just personally resonates with me. Having been in that, like I said, that position of, sitting there and you got some content and you've got the calendar for the next 3 weeks or the next 30 days. And you got to make this one talk to this one, and using, different tools to plot that all out. You take care of a lot of problems. You kill them all with one stone. Yeah, you do. There's no question you do. Thanks for being part of DBW Global with us.
Yeah, thank you.